Hey guys, welcome to lesson 2 where we're going to talk about solving equations. So if I have an equation like, let's say, negative 2x plus 1 is equal to 17. Okay, so the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to simplify each side. So if you can simplify anything on this side or this side, we're going to start there. Okay, and then the next thing, step 2, is I'm going to combine like terms. And so if you'll notice, I have like a number here and a number here. So I'm going to do that by adding or subtracting. So in this case, I'm going to subtract 1, and I get negative 2x is equal to 16. And so combining like terms often includes adding or subtracting. And then also, if you have any parentheses, we would need to get rid of those first before we start moving things over. And then what I want to do is make sure, this is kind of where we are right now. I want to make sure that I have my variables on one side and my numbers on the other side. So I'm going to say move variables to one side. And then finally, we're going to either multiply or divide. So in this case, I'm dividing by negative 2, and I get x is equal to negative 8. And then always, kind of as a final step, make sure that makes sense. So if I were to plug in negative 8, let's see, negative 2 times negative 8, that's 16, and 16 plus 1, that is 17. So that works, and so I know for 100% that that is the correct answer. Okay, so let's go down here and look at problem number 1. So it's very similar. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add 5 to both sides, and then I'm going to divide by 3. And so when I do that, I get x is equal to 6. Okay, over here, notice that I have these parentheses here. So I think what I'm going to do is just kind of clean this up a little bit. So I'm going to distribute that negative 2, or I'm sorry, the positive 2. So I'm going to have 6x minus 4 is equal to negative 10. And the next thing I'm going to do is add the 4 over. So I have variables on one side and my numbers on the other. And then I'm going to divide by 6. So x is equal to negative 1. Okay, over here, I'm going to do the same thing. So I'm going to distribute that negative 2. Notice I had this 3 out here, so we're going to deal with him later. But order of operations tells us we need to focus on that. So I have negative 2x plus 8 plus 3 is equal to 9. And then I'm going to combine these to get 11. So again, this should feel very much like we did the other day with order of operations. And then I'm going to subtract the 11. So I get negative 2x is equal to negative 2. So x is equal to 1. Over here, so I don't see any parentheses here. So I'm just going to add, ooh, look at that. So this is something new. So I'm going to erase this because if I add that 14 over, do you see how there's nothing to combine it with? So this one is a sneaky snake. I don't want to combine the numbers. I want to combine the m's. So I'm going to subtract 8m over. That gets rid of that. And so I have negative 14 is equal to negative 2m. And now I want to get that m by itself. So I'm going to divide by negative 2, and m is equal to positive 7. Okay, let's keep going. So this one, it really doesn't matter which one you start with. So I have variables on both sides and I have numbers on both sides. So I think what I'm going to do is I'll subtract that 3h over. And I get 2 minus 7h is equal to negative 33. And then now I want to combine the numbers together. So do you see those are like terms? So I'm going to subtract that 2. And I get negative 7h is equal to negative 35. And when I divide by negative 7, I get h is equal to 5. Okay, this one I'm going to distribute again. And so I have 2x plus 2 is equal to 3x minus 4. And again, I have the variables on both sides, so I'm just going to, this time I'll subtract the 2x over. And I get 2 is equal to x minus 4. And I'm going to add 4 to both sides, and I get x is equal to 6. Okay, number 7 looks really weird. 7 and 8 both look really weird. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to subtract 10 from both sides, and I get 3 is equal to x over 3. Okay, so think about this. This is the same thing as saying x divided by 3. So to undo that, I'm going to multiply by 3. So if I do it to one side, I'm going to do it to the other side. So what's going to happen is those are going to cancel out, leaving me with x is equal to 9. Okay, same thing over here. So I'm going to add 1 to both sides, and I get x over 5 is equal to negative 3. And then in order to get rid of this 5 on the bottom, I'm going to multiply it out. So these cancel, and I get x is equal to negative 15. Like that. Okay, now we're going to kind of go a different direction. So now notice, like, we're not going to have a nice answer. We're just going to solve for y. And so what that means is to get y by itself. So anytime you do this, you're going to get rid of the term that doesn't have y. So I want to get rid of that term. So I'm going to subtract 4x. So when I subtract 4x, I get 3y is equal to negative 4x plus 21. And then I'm going to divide by 3. And so what I'm doing is I'm dividing each term. So each of these things is like a term. I'm going to divide those each by 3. And so I get y is equal to negative 4/3 x plus 7. So notice this I can't simplify, but this I can. Okay, let's do this last one. So I want to get rid of that term because it doesn't have the y in it. So I'm going to subtract the 9x, and I get negative 6y is equal to negative 9x plus 12. And then I'm going to divide each thing by negative 6. So those cancel, and I get x is equal. Okay, if you type in negative 9 over negative 6 in your calculator, if your calculator will simplify it for you. So do you see how like negative 3 goes into both of those? Or you can look at it as a negative or for negative as a positive. But I'm going to have 3/2 x once it's simplified, and then minus 2. And that is it.